You're listening to Trigger Warnings, challenging talk radio with radical empathy at its core. I'm Chris Smith. John Ross is on the line from the heart of American carnage.
I am in knee-deep in American carnage.
Excellent, excellent. And this is Trigger Warnings, the radical quiz show where John has 10 questions for me. I have 10 for him. And we try to stump each other regarding the latest in public policy, humanities, language, linguistics, rhetoric, the capabilities of the human form, and
famous dead people.
And famous dead people, famous living people. All right. Well, John, on with the show. Do you have a prize for us this week?
Well, I still have the prize from last week that I haven't sent to you, which is the 2012 Zen Daily Calendar, because I've been procrastinating.
Right, no.
Believe it or not.
That's fine.
I have a question this week about procrastination.
Okay.
I put it off about 6 months, but I do have one. So is there a prize? I'm looking for a good prize.
I have a prize. It's yes, it's a congressional independent investigation of your choosing.
Another one?
Yes.
Of my choosing. Oh.
Of your choosing. So the stakes are high. I have a direct line in, and yes, that's how it will go. So, do you have a warm-up question?
Well, I have a breaking news. Very serious breaking news.
What is the breaking news?
So breaking that I haven't had time to develop a question about this person, but I will. We lost a great playwright and actor this morning.
Oh, no.
Sam Shepard.
Sam Shepard is dead?
Sam Shepard.
I understand.
Some great dialogue. And any actor loves doing scenes from Sam Shepard. True West and all of those. Just some great. So again, we are losing creative people. They're dropping.
But culture keepers like ourselves are emerging, evolving, and ever seeking continuous quality improvement, as the great creative minds do. Yes.
Yeah, but speaking of that, I have an update. As I told you last week, my rigorous research and development process for developing the questions that our devoted listeners here on this program, it was submitted by our Department of Continuous Quality Improvement to the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award. So I have an update on that. The Baldrige people called, and they said we owe $1.65 postage. So once we take care of that, it will be duly submitted and reviewed for the Baldrige Quality Award.
Well, that's wonderful. At the rate we're going, the proceeds from this quote-unquote podcast will reach $1.65 in about 100 years. So,
do you remember way back?
Yes.
There was the crazy Rip Taylor called the $1.98 beauty pageant. I don't know if you remember that. It was kind of an offshoot of the Gong Show, the original Gong Show, and women got up and the winner got $1.98, and he had a little change thing around his waist. But anyway, I have a warm-up question for you.
I have a warm-up question for you, so we will be adequately warmed.
Okay, well, given that you won last week, perhaps you should give the warm-up question because did win. Mine is a quote from the news, and who said it about whom. What is yours about?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll do mine here because it is a true warm-up. Pardon me. All right, here we go. Warm-up question for July 31st, 2017. We've got a major problem, John, at Mexican resorts frequented by American tourists. You know what it is.
American tourists?
No, it's the tainted alcohol. right? We've got a major problem here.
I did not know that.
You don't know? Oh, there's been all kinds of horrific things. Quote, I'm a 25-year-old girl from Milwaukee. I know how to drink and I know my limits, said Meg Ward, who was drinking at the Grand Oasis Tulum in Mexico when she became unresponsive, ended up in the hospital, running across the street. Some say this tainted alcohol contains PCP. Some say Quaaludes. Still others say it may be the devil's breath itself. But there's been at least one extortion scheme involving stricken patients having to pay exorbitant sums of cash to be treated at the clinics they wake up in.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm not going to ask you how much alcohol in Mexico is considered illegal according to a 2017 Euromonitor International report. Though I'll let you take a guess. How much do you think that is? Illegally.
Does that mean that it does not meet the Mexican federal standards for what's considered legal, or is it that?
That's right. That's right. It has not been quality tested.
I would say half.
36%. I'm not going to ask you what the excise tax is on liquor that's driving black market sales. You want to guess what that is?
Is it a percentage or a dollar?
Percentage.
I would say the excise tax on legal stuff is probably in the 18 to 20% range.
Ooh, 53%.
Wow.
And I'm also not going to ask you what the current retail price in American dollars is for one bottle of authentic Jalisco Blue Agave tequila purchased in Mexico, but I will let you guess.
Well, when we were in San Jose del Cabo over Christmas, we went to many tequila shops. That's about all I drink when I go to Mexico is the good Mexican stuff. And, it is a national treasure. So I would guess a 1 liter container of, is that what you said, a liter of good Mexican tequila?
That's right. Authentic Jalisco Blue Agave.
With the Jalisco, with the 53% excise tax?
Jalisco, yes. With the 53% excise tax, purchased legally.
About $42.
$28. No, this question is about what Apple Vacations has assured its clients it will now demand of its Mexican resort partners in an effort to end this tainted alcohol problem. Because Apple Vacations.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yes, it's...
And,
yeah.
Nobody hates paint more than me.
Nobody hates what?
Paint.
Oh. Well, what has Apple Vacations assured its clientele, because they book these resorts in Mexico, what did they say they're going to do? Is it A, put in surveillance cameras in resort bars and swimming pools and increase efforts to ensure resorts' compliance with alcohol procurement regulations? Is it B, take direct control of alcohol service at a number of Mexican resorts, one in each major tourist town, Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta, Playa del Carmen, and Cozumel? Is it C, work with local law enforcement and the Mexican government to track down sources of illegal and potentially tainted booze? Or is it D, petition the U.S. State Department to negotiate with the Mexican government new alcohol procurement regulations for Mexican resorts?
Those are the only options. What about building a wall?
No. This is about American tourists going to all-inclusive resorts in Mexico and ending up in the hospital, foaming at the mouth with tainted alcohol as its problem.
So you get hoof and mouth, and when you come back, you have to say if you were on any farms, and if you have hoof and mouth, if you're foaming at the mouth, they don't believe you when you say you haven't been on farms. I would say certainly it's working with the State Department, because that has wholly diplomatic repercussions, Batman, written all over it. So I would say minimally the State Department option would be one. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, you would leave it at wrong, as Apple Vacations has told these resorts that they do not own, but partner with to such an extent that that's how these resorts exist. Apple Vacations has told them that you will be implanting surveillance cameras at your swimming pool, bars, and all other bars so that we can see where the booze is coming from. There's your warm-up. I should have saved that for a question. I'm going to. I may not make it this week because I that was too good of a warm up. All right.
I mean that was a good warm up. So my warm up question. You're going to hear a printer going in a second. Don't worry about it. My printer question.
What is this printer?
This.
Okay.
And let me just pull up the quote. What did I do with it?
I don't know.
Here's the quote. This quote was reportedly said by someone about or to another person. So it is a quote by a man to or about a woman. Here's the quote. He tells her she's in over her head. He tells her she's in over her head. Who said that about whom?
He tells her she's in over her head. Was it Trump to...
Was it reportedly Donald Trump talking about Lisa Murkowski? Donald Trump talking about Susan Collins? Mike Pence talking about Nancy Pelosi? Bill Clinton talking about Hillary Clinton, or the Mooch talking about Mrs. Mooch?
He
tells her she's in over her head. So again, it was someone apparently on the side of the recipient of that insult reporting as to who said it to her.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I saw this as a Mike Pence thing, but the Mooch to Mrs. Mooch is probably the. So this was okay. A secondhand. Okay, yeah, we'll go with the last one.
It is the Mooch because the Mooch did a very good job of hiding that their third child was born a few weeks ago. Mrs. Mooch hates the Trumps, especially Donald, and did not want the Mooch to go to Washington. Mm-hmm. She shut down her Twitter account 10 days ago on July 21st, the day the Mooch had his baptism under fire in the White House press room. And then she filed for divorce Friday, the day he successfully rid himself of Reince Priebus.
Right.
So, and then, according to this report, oh my goodness, you have gerbils in your phone.
I do, yes.
And then, reportedly, according to this report, when she gave birth, he texted her, "Congratulations, I'll be praying for our son." I think this could be the next scandal. The Mooch story, because he obviously Mrs. Mooch, who worked for
him, just stop already. It's reality TV, isn't it? It's reality television.
There's a scandal coming out about what kind of person the Mooch is. I'm working on my letter to the Mooch.
What kind? Ask Steve Bannon. I mean, what else do you need to know?
I'm working on my letter, but I have to work the term cockblocker in.
All right. Look, question one for you.
All right. So because you're the defending champ, you are kicking off, I gather. Okay. I am ready.
Well, look, it's about the Mooch.
Oh, well, what isn't about the Mooch?
Where did he go to law school? Princeton, Harvard, Yale, or Cornell?
Yeah, wait, this is an easy one. He went to Tufts undergrad and Harvard Law. That's right, Harvard.
It is Harvard. I gave it to you.
So I think I have a lot of questions. But
I think it's question one from you, and here we go.
I think we're going to talk a little bit about the skinny repeal, which is a really bad name. Anything with a name like skinny repeal.
I'm ignorant of a lot of this rhetoric these days because I don't want to be up on the Mooch's divorce. I don't want to be up on the quote-unquote skinny repeal. Yeah, bring it. Let's hear. Skinny puppy. What do you got?
Skinny repeal is the last version of healthcare reform that went down last week with the dramatic thumbs down vote from Senator Nero, Mr. McCain.
Yeah.
But just before the skinny repeal failed dramatically, 10 governors, 5 from each party, wrote a letter to the entire Senate asking the Senate to reject the measure. Which of these Republican governors was not among those signing the letter? Doug Ducey of Arizona, Brian Sandoval of Nevada, John Kasich of Ohio, Larry Hogan of Maryland, or your governor, Phil Scott of Vermont.
Hold on.
One of them did not sign the dump the skinny repeal letter, along with 4 other Republicans and 5 Democratic governors. Which one of these men did not sign that letter? The governor of Arizona, Nevada, Ohio, Maryland, or Vermont?
Ohio, Maryland, or Vermont? Well, do not dump the skinny repeal. Phil Scott? Phil Scott.
Phil Scott of Vermont. Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
No, Phil Scott signed the letter. Doug Ducey of Arizona did not sign it. I kind of tricked you with that one because McCain said he would vote based on what his governor said, but his governor didn't sign the letter. He may have opposed the skinny whatever, but he did not sign the letter. Top of the second, score is 1-0 as usual. I'm ahead early.
Oh, are you? Well, this week, John, who became this is so top of the second. Who became the 31st player in Major League Baseball history to reach 3,000 career hits?
Would you like me to name him without a multiple?
Whoa, no. Yes, I would.
Adrian Beltre, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I thought you'd be impressed that I wrote a question about something I could care less about. Well, look, they only get harder from here. Don't worry. This is so well thought out, this quiz. I know how to win now because I've done it a few times. I know that I need to instill in you a false sense of confidence before the top of the fifth.
I'm so impressed that I'm going to hold off on my 4 questions until I need them. So I'm going to stay on very topical news and the skinny repeal.
Great.
Speaking of the skinny repeal, Susan Collins, the only Republican senator from New England, made it possible for Senator Nero McCain to steal the show. Collins is known for many things, including having the second longest streak of consecutive votes, well over 6,000 in the Senate. She's never missed a Senate vote in her 4 terms. Only William Proxmire of Wisconsin had a longer tenure of successive votes. But that's not the question.
Yes.
Collins is now in her 4th term as Maine senior senator. She also, interestingly, was a public servant of another New England state, which she served as a deputy treasurer before she launched her political career. Which state did Senator Collins serve as a high-ranking bureaucrat besides Maine? And there are only 5 New England states, but I'll name them all.
Oh, thank you.
From Massachusetts, Vermont, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. She was a deputy treasurer of one of those states before she launched her political career in 1994. Which state did she serve before she was elected to serve the state of Maine?
And how long was her tenure in this position, up to 1994?
Not terribly long. She was in this position for maybe 18 months, something like that.
Massachusetts. What position did Susan Collins hold for 18 months in the early 90s? This is great. Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island.
Connecticut. She moved back to Maine after her tenure at this position at another state to run for office, and she then lost the governor's election to her now compatriot in the Senate, Angus King, who won as an independent. But she was a state official with another New England state.
And Deputy Treasury Secretary?
Deputy Treasurer.
Deputy Treasurer.
I believe it's an appointed position. I don't know if it was a confirmed position. I think it was.
I'm drawn to Connecticut. But I have nothing to go on, and I'm sure I'm wrong.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, sure.
No, it was Massachusetts. She was appointed by President H.W. Bush to be the regional director of the Small Business Administration based out of Boston. And then when Bush left office, she stayed in Boston and worked for the state of Massachusetts.
That's great.
And if we've already, so you know who the next question is going to be about. That would be 2-0 as we enter the top of the third.
How about those sex robots, John? Again with the sex robots. The sex robots are coming. According to a July 29th, 2017 Daily Star article, the first legal brothel on the planet, established specifically for having sex with sex robots, has opened. Time with one of these robots runs between $80 and $100 an hour in U.S. dollars. While the owner says he has...
Does that include the illegal toxic alcohol or not?
While the owner says he has plans to expand, right now there's only one place on the planet where you can pay for this experience. Where is that? Barcelona, Buenos Aires, Brisbane, or Beijing?
There's only one place where you can have a legal sex robot with or without toxic alcohol?
There's no toxic alcohol involved. This is simply about...
I said with or without. Well, you told me last week where they were manufactured, and I got that wrong. And I think I got it wrong because I assumed it was Asia, and I was wrong. And I think the answer was Spain. So I'm guessing that they are researched, tested, developed, manufactured, demonstrated, and worn out in Spain. So the answer is Barcelona.
The answer is Barcelona. Congratulations.
Notice how I used my inductive reasoning.
Well, and that one was designed to, between last week or whenever anybody's listening to these shows, probably in chronological order, to what extent do people retain knowledge? And John has, from one show to another. It is kind of important to understand that these are manufactured in China, but Spain is where they were researched and developed. And the Daily Star is the only salacious newspaper that I have found that is doing photographic, a.k.a. pornographic coverage of this.
It's kind of like the Airbus.
It's kind of like the disintegration of some sort of part of the human form, at least in a spiritual sense. Simply that it's happening. Thank you.
Airbus in the sense that it's many European countries that share in it in the joint venture, but many benefit from it. Anyway, all right. Bottom of the third. Let's stay on those who voted against Emperor Trump and King McConnell last week.
You were loving that, huh? I mean, did you really relish in watching all this play-by-play?
It was beautiful, but I realized it was only because of the two strong Republican women who were gullied, and bullied during the week that John McCain could do his, as he said, watch the show to reporters before he walked into the Senate chamber. So hats off to all of them, but John McCain was not bullied, gullied, or cullied last week, and especially bullied and cullied last week. I like the word cullied.
How many times are you going to say it? We all know.
Was Lisa Murkowski,
That's
Alaska
correct.
senior senator, who made it possible for John McCain to steal the show last week. Lisa is Alaska's senior senator. She, of course, also voted against the skinny repeal. And she is a bit of an anomaly in the Senate in Alaska, not really a core Republican, one often abandoned by her party, yet has never lost a general election. She is now in her fourth term. Which of these statements about Alaska's interesting senior senator is not true?
Ooh.
A, she was initially appointed to the Senate by her father, Frank, who left the Senate to become Alaska's governor, later to be dethroned in a primary by Sarah Palin. B, despite being in her fourth term in the Senate, the Republicans have never allowed her to assume a committee chairmanship consistent with her seniority. C, she was defeated in the 2010 Senate primary by a Tea Party candidate supported by Sarah Palin, only to win re-election via a write-in campaign, making her the only person since Strom Thurmond in 1954 to do so. D, she has never won a majority of votes in any of her 3 Senate victories, including last year. Or E, she is one of 2 sitting senators to have held the title of Cherry Blossom Princess surrounding the spring D.C. Cherry Blossom Festival. There's a lot here that's true about Lisa Murkowski, but there's one ditty that isn't. Was she initially appointed to the Senate by her father, Frank, who was then dethroned in a primary by Sarah Palin? Has she not been allowed to take advantage of her seniority and hold a committee chairmanship because she's not a mainstream core Republican? C, she was defeated in her 2010 re-election race in a primary by a Tea Party candidate supported by Palin, then won her seat anyway in a write-in. D, she's never won a majority of votes in any of her 3 campaigns, including last year. Or she is one of 2 sitting senators to have held the title of the Cherry Blossom Princess that surrounds the spring Washington, D.C. Cherry Blossom Festival. What do we know about Lisa Murkowski?
I think that you were researching her, you found the Cherry Blossom Festival anecdote, and built the question around that. The 4th term and never been a committee chair, I believe that. Defeated by a Tea Party candidate in the primary and then won anyway, I believe that. So it's between A and D. Was she appointed by her father? Or, I think it's D, actually.
She's never won a majority of votes. That's false.
Oof, man, the stakes are high, so I can't decide. I'm going to go with D, yeah.
She's never won a majority in any of her Senate victories in 2000. No, that's true. She's never gotten above 48%, even in her write-in year. Lisa Murkowski is the chair of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, so B is the answer. They have allowed her to assume the committee chairmanship because she's big on drilling in Alaska. And she likes oil, too. Yes, she was appointed to the Senate. Her father was I believe, a 4-term senator as well, who then became governor and was defeated by Sarah Palin. So the score after 3 innings is
miserable.
Skinny reform 0, 3, and Dr. Smith 0. Here's something that's related. Again, I'm right on top of the news.
Yes.
According to his Wikipedia profile, and I've checked the sources on all the factoids I've put into this question so they're accurate. Reince Priebus, also known as Reinhold Richard.
Am I getting is this a bonus question or is this just factoid?
No, you're getting a Reince question. Top of the 4th, you're getting a question about Reince. This is
Didn't you just ask me the whole Murkowski question, so now it's my turn?
Oh, it's my turn. I'm sorry. You want to take a Reince question? Sorry. I'm sorry.
Here in Trump's America, I understand that we make our own rules, but it is my right as an American to stand up and say, it's my turn, John, to ask you a question.
I'm very sorry. Because I'm so hot.
You're like jumping in on the Reince Priebus Wikipedia page.
I have a really good Reince question.
I know. We all know. Hey, you're listening to Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. John Ross and Chris Smith here. All right, John.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's okay. That's okay. I'll get
I feel so
totally
bad
even.
about Bryce.
You're not going to feel bad in a minute. Now listen to me. Your
I'm feeling bad
favorite.
about Bryce. I think I
Don't
deserve
feel bad about a darn thing. All right, your favorite jam band and mine, Fish with a PH. You know them. You
Okay.
love them.
Oh,
And they're making their way through a 13-night residency at Madison Square Garden. You know what it's being called, right? That's right, the Baker's Dozen. That's right, and the shows are all donut themed. And the first 1,000 fans every night have been handed a donut upon entry, which that donut is the theme. That's right, first night was coconut. Oh, 2 nights ago was cinnamon. Now, the former Grateful Dead tour manager, Sam Cutler, has called the gimmick, quote, infantile. But others in the rock press have touted this as one of the band's best showings. Now, which of these donut-themed cover songs has Fish not yet covered so far in the Baker's Dozen epic 13-night run at MSG? Is it A, Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young, which had only been played twice previously in the last 28 years? B, the Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever, performed a cappella and by the band for the first time? C, Frank Zappa's Peaches and Regalia, last played last week in Fairborn, Ohio? Or D, Led Zeppelin's Custard Pie, last played on Summer Tour last year at Red Rocks? Which of these has not yet been covered by Fish during the Baker's Dozen?
it's because I'm so knowledgeable of this. I'm just going to jump right in. It's the custard one.
Why would you choose Led Zeppelin's Custard Pie?
Well, because it reminds me of that song Cherry Pie.
She's
It's
my
not-
cherry
it's-
pie?
Yeah, she's my cherry pie. Right?
Man, I hate to tell you you're right.
Wow.
I hate to tell you that you're correct. Now, your bonus question, John, where are these donuts? 1,000 donuts every night. Where are they coming from? Is it Federal Donuts in Philadelphia, the Donut Plant in Lower Manhattan, the Donut Dilemma in Burlington, Vermont, or Blackbird Donuts in Boston?
They're coming from Vermont. Federal Bakery is famous for soft pretzels. It may be famous for donuts too, but I'm saying it's coming from Vermont.
Yes, it's Federal Donuts in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, you
That
do
too.
not get the question. It was a
But I
two-parter.
still get full credit. Yeah, I still get full
Oh, you
credit.
do? Oh. Oh, I
It's
see.
a bonus. Yeah, so I'm perfect. I have 4. Hey, can I ask you a question about Reince for the bottom of the 4th?
I know you have a burning desire to ask me a question about
No,
Reince.
Reince is very interesting. According to his Wikipedia profile, Reinhold Richard Priebus, in between being named class president at both the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and University of Miami Law School, that's pretty impressive, had a law school internship with a prominent nonprofit legal entity. For which group did Reince intern during his law school days? The American Conservative Union, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the American Center for Law and Justice, Judicial Watch, or the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. Reince interned for one of those prestigious legal advocacy organizations during his law school days at University of Miami. American Conservative Union, NAACP Legal Defense Fund, American Center for Law and Justice, Judicial Watch, or the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation.
That is a tricky one. What was it? American Center for what and what?
The American Center for Law and Justice. That's the Jay Sekulow organ, the one that Jay Sekulow, Trump's lawyer, heads. American Conservative Union, NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Judicial Watch, National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation.
Judicial Watch.
So there was an outlier in that question. You thought I just threw it in to mess you up because I needed a 5th one But it turns out Reince did intern for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund in Los Angeles.
Ooh, very nicely done.
I know.
Did you
Wow,
dig
I
any
forgot I had-
deeper than finding that out? That's really something.
Well, I went to the Wikipedia profile because I thought Reince deserved a question. I kind of feel bad for Reince. Just a little bad. Hey, it's 4-0 after 4 innings. This is almost like we might have to stop this game after 7 innings if it's a runaway.
Really?
But
Really?
as characteristic of me, I could choke and not get any more right, and you could get 4, and it would be okay. Top of the 5th, I believe it's my turn to receive a question. I'm not going to ask you another question about rights now.
Well, I appreciate the sense of impending doom that you just may want to end the game sooner
No,
than
I
even
don't.
10. And you're right, John. You're right, because we all know the totality is approaching, and we all should savor every 10-minute block we have between now and August 21st. You know what totality I speak of.
I do.
So Fox News yesterday was reporting that the upcoming solar eclipse may trigger the potential zombie apocalypse. They got this information from a University of Maryland researcher, Angela Speck, who's willing to speak to Fox News, perhaps with a made-up last name. Quote, "There will hopefully be less bloodshed, but zombies don't need regular food or sleep or toilets," she's told Fox News. "If we do survive the totality, when will the next totality take place and be visible to the entire continental United States? Is it April 8th, 2024, May 14th, 2027, June 20th, 2028, or July 1st, 2055?
No, I know the answer because in my question I said we hadn't had one for 100 years or something, and the next one would not be for another 38. So the answer is D. Most definitely D.
July 1st, 2055?
Yes, he's
No,
absolutely.
I'm sorry. That
No,
is
that's
incorrect. Fox
No,
News
it's 30
reporting April 8th, 2024, per University
No,
of Maryland.
Fox News is wrong because the article that I cited last week said this only happens once every so often, and 38 years was the next one. But we can't argue with Fox News, can we? I will play this under protest if my having gotten it wrong has an impact on the result.
Would you like a bonus question that would replace the previous question?
No, I don't need a replacement until... If
I have
need
a bonus related to the totality.
Okay.
Would you like that to replace the Fox News bunk question?
No, I cannot question a source like Fox News. It's too...
Okay, so this is merely
too
a bonus.
They report, I decide. I decide that they report wrong. But go ahead, give me the bonus question. I
Well,
don't need...
here it is. Here it is. Now, this is not from Fox News. This is from a less than credible source. The path of this year's eclipse and the 2024 eclipse, because I did find evidence of the 2024 eclipse in a number of places, including...
Right, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing. It's not.
Total
not
solar
where the-
eclipse. Total solar eclipse visible to the entire continental United States
Okay.
across a path. Now, those paths are important, John. If you take the path of this eclipse, this year's eclipse, and the 2024 eclipse, those paths cross at a point. What is that point? Is it A, New Madrid, Illinois, B, Charleston, West Virginia, C, Omaha, Nebraska, or D, Wrightwood, California?
It's Omaha because I think that's the only one that is one of the prime or near the prime viewing spots.
No, it's New Madrid, Illinois. Now your extra
By the way,
double
that
bonus,
is-
yes.
That is pronounced Madrid. It's the fault. It's the earthquake fault. It's
That's-
the major.
Well, then you're going to
Earthquake
get
fault,
your
yeah.
double triple bonus question right. What is the point of identifying that point? Is it A, some believe it's where the rapture will begin? B, some believe it's where the earthquakes will begin? C, some believe it will be the site where the lizard people land? Or D, there is no point to making that point?
Well, if there's a point, it could be the earthquake.
It could be the earthquakes.
But that doesn't necessarily have to do with zombie metaphors or rapture. It could be a rapture point, too.
University of Maryland is allowing its researchers to provide to Fox News incorrect information about the position of the stars and the alignment of other planets than this one. So let's just be clear about that here on Trigger Warnings and Radical Empathy. Seek your astrological and astronomical understandings elsewhere than Brett Baer. Thank you.
Well, I'm still playing this under appeal, but it's 4-0 as we enter it's the bottom of the fifth. Let's see if you can get one right. Here's one.
Oh, wait, so we're going to count it as it counts, and then if it ends up being questionable, then we may reverse the point later.
No, I'm playing under appeal. That's what I think.
It's
The
like
Department
it's a hanging chad?
Judging.
Is that what this is?
The Department of Continuous Quality Improvement Division of Judging will rule on it if necessary. Okay. Here's a question about, because we're really kind of midway through summer, right? Technically, because, no, we're 2/3 of the way through summer, but in terms of the school year. And one of the great traditions, as common for teenagers as making out in the backseat of your first car, is having a summer job. But according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's not.
What are you
so
living in the
anymore.
movie Grease? That was a strange cultural sweeping statement.
A summer job as a high school student, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is not as commonplace as it once was. 40 years ago, for example, about 60% of teenagers had a summer job. But today, only about 35% do, says the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What's the primary reason for the dramatic drop in teens working over the summer?
According to
the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Fake news.
A, laziness and the internet and video games. B, a drop-off in low-skilled seasonal jobs. C, a dramatic increase in those attending summer school. Or D, an increase in single-parent and divorced households, making it challenging for many teens to commute to and from a summer job. Why is basically only half the number of teenagers today as 40 years ago holding a summer job? Is it because they're lazy and they're video games and the internet? Is it because there's a drop-off in those low-skilled seasonal jobs? Is there because there's a dramatic increase in those attending summer school? Or is it an increase in single-parent and divorced households, which makes it challenging from a transportation and logistics perspective for teenagers to get to and from jobs?
Bureau of Labor and Statistics would say, I mean, I'd like to think it's an increase in summer school. The commuting sounds like the most policy wonk answer, so that should be my answer, but I believe it's a drop in the low-skilled. Actually, the jobs aren't there.
Is that your answer?
Yeah, no, I got to go with that, because that's what I believe.
It's a great answer. Unfortunately,
it's not right.
It is a dramatic increase in those attending summer school.
Well, what can I say?
After 5 innings, the score is 4-0 with an appeal for the fifth. So I believe it's my turn to get a challenging question in the top inning 6.
Fine. We'll pull out the big guns. The big guns, John.
Okay.
And by that I mean the man with the nachos. You know what?
Oh, yes, I do.
That's right. He balanced it. We're talking about New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Balancing a tray of nachos on his gut yesterday as he confronted a sports fan who was heckling him during a baseball game. According to multiple reports, the fan yelled, "Christie, you suck," as the governor and former GOP presidential hopeful and amateur traffic cop made his way up the concrete steps carrying nachos. Christie reversed course, made his way back to the heckler, and made, quote, "contact knee to knee," said the man, as seen in a YouTube video recorded by one of the heckler's friends. The video did not begin at the beginning of the confrontation, but according to a number of accounts, what were the first words out of Chris Christie's mouth to the heckler? Was it A, what are you, a tough guy? B, why don't you have another beer? C, are you a communist? Or D, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, the tough guy was what was reported in the most press report. So I'm guessing that if that was what was reported, it was probably the first thing. So I'm going to go with that one.
No, I'm sorry. The account by the man said, quote, why don't you have another beer?
Well, I like that comment.
I like that
good.
too. I like that too.
Now, I have a bonus question for you based on that. Why?
Wait a minute, you can't throw me it's a Christie-related bonus?
Yeah, it's a Christie-related bonus. Why was Chris Christie at a Chicago Cub at Milwaukee Brewers?
Can this count?
Like, why would
Can I have a point?
No.
Can I answer this? All right, well then I don't want to answer it. I refuse to
It's a
answer.
bonus question on your question.
Unless I can have this point on appeal with the CQI team.
No, it's because his son worked.
I know. Because I knew it, and so I was trying to leverage my way to something.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not good. All right, so I'm bottom of the sixth.
Yeah, wait. It's his, and
too.
I was going to ask you that. What is the position that Chris Christie's son has with the Milwaukee team?
Yeah, he worked in. I read that.
See, you would have known. You would have known. I was going to ask you, like, what was on the nacho? Which of these things was not on the nachos? I mean, all right.
So, because I'm so good at drawing stuff from last week to this week, I'm going to tie last week to this week for you. You remember last week's quiz prize, the 2012 Zen Daily Calendar.
Mm.
I joked last week that was the product of my work with Procrastinators United. But it turns out that procrastination has its own academic subdiscipline. And coincidentally enough, that subdiscipline had its annual research conference, the 10th, in fact, here in Chicago 2 weeks ago. This is true. I'm not making this up, and I didn't procrastinate the question. It's pretty recent news. I remember when I couldn't get anyone to talk about procrastination. Look at us now, said the conference's chair, Dr. Joseph Ferrari, to the New York Times. This was in the New York Times. More than 60 scholars from all over the world came to DePaul University in the heart of American carnage to share their research in a safe space where people wouldn't laugh at their topics, said one attendee. Dr. Ferrari, the conference chair, has written 4 books on procrastination and dozens of papers. Which of the following isn't one of them? A, still procrastinating, the no-regret guide to getting it done. B, procrastination and task avoidance, theory, research, and treatment. C, counseling the procrastinator in academic setting. D, counseling the procrastinator in clinical setting. E, psychometric validation of 2 procrastination inventories for adults, arousal and avoidance measures. All of these but one were written by the conference chair of the procrastination subdiscipline, which held its annual meeting here in Chicago 2 weeks ago. Which of those papers did Dr. Joseph Ferrari not put his name on?
The one with task avoidance.
The one about task avoidance?
Yeah.
Procrastination and task avoidance theory. No, that's one of his books, actually.
Mm-hmm.
No, the correct answer is counseling the procrastinator in clinical settings.
You know,
that is not.
I'm just not on it today, man. I'm not on it. I've got good questions, but these.
You have not brought your A game.
That's okay. That's really. Okay.
I have clinched a tie. I need one correct or one wrong answer from you to win the big nacho prize. Please, go ahead. It is your turn to offer me a question.
All right.
I have brought my A game, by the way. If I'm answering questions...
Yeah, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. All the way up to and including the donut questions. That's incredible. Let's ask a question about a quarterly financial report just filed
I love that.
July 28th about an American e-commerce giant who has violated federal regulations by selling goods and or services to an individual or individuals known to be on a terrorist blacklist. A major no-no.
That is amazing.
According to a report published at SiliconBeat.com, the Commerce Department, Treasury Department, and Homeland Security Departments are investigating what retailer are we talking about? Amazon, Google, Uber, or Lyft?
What's the third one? Uber. Oh. For doing specifically what?
One American e-commerce giant has violated federal regulations by selling goods and or services to an individual or individuals known to be on a terrorist blacklist.
Well, I think because the president is constantly going over the Amazon Washington Post, it makes sense. And how would you know that someone who's buying a book or something is on the terrorist list unless the government gives you authorization to do that? So I'm guessing it's the Amazon Washington Post.
So your answer is Amazon?
Yeah.
Man, you're on it today. These questions really work for you. I'm gonna buy you some nachos. That should be the prize. Congratulations, you got that right.
Thank you. But thank you. Well, that's again inductive reasoning. Okay, you spoke a little while ago of bad alcohol in Mexico, and so I thought let's have a question about something that's truly about a Mexican. As it turns out, a Mexican landmark, but now in some dispute. We all know the famous song, the famous lyric, "Living It Up in the Hotel California," do we not?
Mm-hmm.
By the Eagles, yes? Well, the Hotel California itself is now a source of legal turmoil. Recently, after more than 40 years since the song was released, the band has filed a trademark, the Eagles, the band, the Eagles, has filed a trademark infringement suit against the owners of the 11-room hotel, arguing that they falsely link the hotel to the band and the song. But the owners of the Mexican hotel claim the band long ago waived its trademark rights. In which Mexican city is the Hotel California located? I will add that I have seen the Hotel California. Is the Hotel California located in Guadalajara, Mexico City, Todos Santos, Oaxaca, or Cancun?
Goodness me.
There is a real Hotel California.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it located, and where is it now the source of a lawsuit?
Well, it's in Mexico, and it's the band The Eagles going after a hotel.
Right.
Because they don't have enough money. They don't have Guadalajara or you know what? I'm going with the first one.
Guadalajara.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
No,
in Baja. It's Todos Santos, which is a little cute little artsy town, which would be the place where you'd find an 11-room hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Todos Santos. The 7th inning stretch did not work for you. The score as we enter the top of the 8th is 5-2 Bagel. Yes.
I need what? 3 questions for you? 2 questions for you.
Yeah, 3 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions. Is it possible that we will have our first trigger warning shutout? Will we have a bagel in trigger warnings?
I mean, there's got to be a first for everything. There definitely has to be a first for everything. I need to make sure that I am asking you the best 3 questions I have. Let's get this out of the way. Or you want to have the bad ones and save the good ones for next week. Well, I mean, no. There's only... remember that whole idea that we're only going to have 10 questions and not 27 to pick from?
But I have, I do my homework.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did you see New York Magazine this week? A, yes. B, no. C, I'm trying...
I think I'm now getting... It's with Joe and Mika, right? Isn't it Joe and Mika on the cover? I haven't seen it yet. I haven't. I've not.
Excellent. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos was featured recently in New York Magazine alongside of drawings of DeVos done by elementary school children from the New York City area. What medium did they... No, I'm kidding. DeVos appeared at a Capitol Hill event in February of this year to support a specific nonprofit, and the education secretary made quite a scene, visiting with almost every one of the invited guests. Months later, the director of this nonprofit would read of his or her entire budget as being eliminated in the proposed federal budget. Which nonprofit do we speak of? Is it A, the Special Olympics, B, AmeriCorps, C, the National Endowment for the Humanities, Let's Talk About It program, or D, scholarship winners from a program affiliated with the School Lunch and Nutrition program run by the Department of Education?
Well, I know the NEH has been zeroed out in the budget. I don't know if she did it. I don't think that's under her.
That's also not implied by the question.
But no, but you said that the NEH is one of the options.
That's correct.
So I think it's the NEH.
It is not the NEH. It is the Special Olympics.
Now the Special Olympics zeroed out?
Yeah. So a lot of the handshaking by DeVos this past February for a Special Olympics Capitol Hill event was kind of, it's growing very sour for folks. According to New York Magazine, your bonus question, which of the, if you win this, then you win a third Betsy DeVos question. Which of these does not bear the DeVos name? The Grand Rapids Convention Center, a Grand Rapids Marathon to promote healthy activity and fitness among school children, C, a Michigan State University College of Human Medicine laboratory building, or D, an elevator in the Whitney Museum in New York City?
Well, they're from Michigan, so the Michigan one is a good bet, or the mid-three from Michigan are a good bet. The elevator is a little bit of a tricky question. I'll just go with the elevator in the Whitney.
No, it's the Michigan State University College of Human Medicine laboratory building. You win anyway. What year did Betsy DeVos's Virginia-based lobbying group of the people begin to advocate for this language to be inserted into all state constitutions? Quote, the rights of parents to direct the upbringing and education of their children shall not be infringed. What year did DeVos's lobbying group begin to rally for that to be in state constitutions? 94, 96, 98, or 2000?
It would be 94, the years of the 94.
No, it was 96. John, well done. That is
0 for 3 on one.
No DeVos question left behind for you.
You know, what would a week be if I didn't have time to do a Sam Shepard obituary?
Did you write
question?
a Sam Shepard question?
No, I said I didn't have time, but I did write an obituary question about another notable actor who passed in the last week. John Hurd. John Hurd, who played the dad in the Home Alone movies, but also acted in a number of serious films, died last week at age 71. Early in his career, Hurd won 2 theatrical acting awards, 2 Obie Awards, but he never was nominated for an Oscar despite solid character roles over more than 30 years on screen. He was particularly good in The Pelican Brief, if you recall. While married 3 times, including to the 1970s hottie Margot Kidder, with whom he split after 6 days of marriage, he had a child out of wedlock with an Academy Award-winning actress who won her award for Best Supporting Actress within the last 25 years. Who is that actress? Now, to help you, I'm going to give you the name of the film for which she won her Academy Award to help you.
Do I get her name too?
So you get the name of the actress, and as a special bonus, but not bonus question, you get the film for which she won her Academy Award. So one of these women was not married to John Hurd, but did have a torrid out-of-wedlock affair that produced a son and apparently some orders of protection against him when he came after her. Is that actress A, Jennifer Connelly, who won her Oscar for A Beautiful Mind? B, Melissa Leo, who won her Oscar for The Fighter, Patricia Arquette, who won her Oscar for Boyhood, Marcia Gay Harden for Pollock, or Diane Weiss for Bullets Over Broadway? I know it sounds like the Academy Award, but it's just a frame of reference. One of those women had a child out of wedlock with John Hurd, and then had to put an order against him when he came after her for other stuff later. Who was it? Jennifer Connelly, Melissa Leo, Patricia Arquette, Marcia Gay Harden, Diane Wiest.
I'm going to say Patricia Arquette, but I'm just guessing here.
You don't know this?
No, I don't know this. It's amazing. These questions sometimes help me understand what's important in my life.
That's right. No, it is not Patricia Arquette, who's, I think, too young for John Hurt. It was Melissa Leo.
Okay, then.
Melissa Leo, who famously said the F word during her acceptance speech and got bleeped. Yes, Melissa Leo had a son with the late John Hurd, a solid actor, very solid actor. That's a great law. It is a law. Yep.
The Home Alone dad. Yes, okay.
Home Alone?
I don't know, man. I mean, no.
I've never seen
I'm
Home
sorry.
Alone.
What are you talking about?
I've never seen or can see Home Alone, but the obit refers to him as the Home Alone dad.
I think F. Scott Fitzgerald would make a big, big deal out of Home Alone, kind of trying to define, well, the kids that went to see it in that theater. There's a lost generation feeling, and if you see a picture of Macaulay Culkin these days, it will help you. Yeah, you need to see Home Alone. You can't go praising John Hurd all up and down, and oh my goodness. Well, what a quiz this has been, John. Trigger warnings, challenging talk radio. I've been very challenged here.
We have 2 more rounds.
I know.
I'm holding back my 4th question for you. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Let me ask you about Zumbi. You know the hip hop artist Zumbi?
No.
He and his video crew were robbed at gunpoint earlier this month while filming a music video. The thieves made off with a $90,000 camera after scoping out the film shoot by driving around repeatedly. Everybody on the shoot told the press that they saw this car and they kept driving around and around. Zumbi himself told reporters that he, quote, was just so into how dope the footage was looking and the good vibe on set that I chose to ignore my intuition, unquote, and to ignore the suspicious vehicle. John, you've been on a streak with your intuition. In what urban neighborhood did this take place? Was it A, Camden, New Jersey, B, West Oakland, California, C, Escondido, California, or D, Atlanta, Georgia?
I'm going to go with Camden, New Jersey, because you and I both know Camden, home of Campbell's Soup.
More importantly,
it's the right answer.
No, Camden, to me, will always represent the heart of research and development in consumer audio as far as being the headquarters of RCA.
Wow.
Right?
I did not know.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Absolutely. I mean, Edison, New Jersey was the place for innovation. Now, Camden's not the right answer, but we can talk about RCA some more.
That's just
West Oakland, California. Thank you.
West Oakland.
I might not have any points on the board, but at least you're not scoring any more either.
It's still 6-0. I'm 6 for 9. That's pretty good. Here we are in the bottom of the 9th. Let's see if you can get one. Here's a question you'll like.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with Newsmax, the conservative company close to President Trump. Newsmax loves lists. Sorry. It likes Fran's list too, but it likes lists. According to the Newsmax Top 100 list, released in June, who is the most influential libertarian? Who's top of the list among the 100 most influential libertarians on the Newsmax list? Is it Ron Paul, Rand Paul, Grover Norquist, Peter Thiel, or Charles Koch?
most influential libertarian, that is, the libertarian that gave the most money. Ron and Rand are out. Grover Norquist, as a fundraiser for the new GOP, I don't know about that.
I must tell you, this is the top. These are the top 5, and one of them is number 1. So I think pick number 9.
And the terms are most influential libertarians as voted by Newsmax, which means as chosen by Newsmax, which means representing Newsmax, which is what, that dude? I can't think of his name. We're going to go with Peter Thiel.
A great guess, but it is your friend, Ron Paul.
He's not my friend. What are you talking about? As much as Fish, did I?
You think you did? He certainly said that he was screwed in the New Hampshire primary, which I believe is true. He was, as it turns out, he did win the New Hampshire primary in 2000.
No, I never voted for Ron Paul in a presidential.
Oh, I thought you liked Ron. You threatened to.
Oh, I definitely threatened to.
Yeah. Okay.
There's always a lesser of the lesser of the lesser of evils. So. So what do we got? This is my last chance.
Just one question to go.
Well, we'll go with it. As reality continues to dissipate into cultural fictions, our lives continue to be filled with the precarious adventures of others. John, you knew this.
Yes, absolutely.
History has often proven sufficient for humankind to be entertained by its own follies. Today, however, our Warholian news feeds provide us a much more localized, immediate, and fleeting version of celebrity of ourselves, mirrorless, but for our selfies.
Oh my God.
I know! Can you believe this? History, however, makes a comeback with this question. Which of these events did not take place on this day, July 31st? Was it A, the birth of J.K. Rowling? B, the birth of Harry Potter? C, the debut of Richard Starkey on drums playing with the Eddie Clayton Skiffle Group at the Cavern Club in Liverpool?
Oh, God.
D, the completion of the Trans-Siberian Railroad? Or E, a riot in Tampa, Florida in 1955 after a performer from Tennessee announced to a crowd of 14,000 at the end of the show, quote, "Girls, I'll see you backstage." Which of those did not take place on this day, July 31st?
Harry Potter was not born on this date. Because Harry Potter's not real.
Well, that is the question, John. What is reality?
So I'm saying that it's Harry Potter.
You could say that, but I don't know. I mean, yes, that would be the most accurate answer among these. We have historical evidence about Richard Starkey and the Trans-Siberian Railroad and the riot in Florida. Harry Potter was, in fact, born on this day. Is Harry Potter real? To many, to millions, Harry Potter is more real than you or me or the people that live next door. So I'll give it to you. I'll give you the point, but I don't know if we can get the point. Thank you.
That would have been my mother's 94th birthday.
Oh, right on.
So she didn't make the quiz, but she certainly has a place in the quiz because it would have been her birthday today, and so the answer was the real answer was J.K. Rowling. Is that her birthday? Is that?
No, the real answer is the birth of Harry Potter. In the books, it is cited as July 31st. Harry Potter was born, but that is the correct answer because that's the only answer that we know to be fiction. The others, we have some evidence of. Now, who was that performer on stage in Tampa in 1955? Was it Paul Anka, Frankie Avalon, Elvis Presley, or Pat Boone?
That started a riot?
Girls, I'll see you backstage.
Paul Anka, Pat Boone. Who's the other one besides Elvis?
Frankie Avalon or Elvis Presley?
Let's go with Frankie Avalon.
No, it was Elvis Presley. He didn't make it to his dressing room. 14,000 people. Oh, well, John.
By a riot,
Yes.
by a riot, you mean something that was out of control, not that caused fighting.
No, I mean, it's well documented, the 1955 Tampa, Florida riot, because Elvis himself was brought up on charges for saying, quote, "Girls, I'll see you backstage." In a court of law, it was found that Elvis was kind of inciting this idea that the audience was invited backstage, or at least some genders. It was at that Florida show where a man named Cornelius von Kluck would watch this go down, and it would never happen again under his watch, because you know who he was.
He was Colonel Tom.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, there it is. My goodness.
You have one question left to try to avoid being bagels.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to try to find one that I think you can get. I'm going to give you a choice of categories then. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Republican politics, sports.
You didn't even have to say sports, but I appreciate you giving me the option. That will not be my choice.
Personal wealth.
Personal wealth.
Personal wealth. Summer.
Summer?
Or summer. Higher ed or
what is this?
obituary.
These are too many. What is this? Oh my goodness.
Personal wealth, Republican politics, gas, sports, summer, and what was the other question? What was the other category?
I'll take
sports.
that one. Higher ed.
Sports.
No, higher ed.
Okay, there is a higher ed question available.
Give me a higher ed question, because usually that's my forte.
Yeah, you and I have studied this together. We have been exposed to this terminology together.
Yeah, I know what your question is. Actually, I just got it. It's who gave the Jefferson lecture last week? And the answer is Martha Nussbaum.
No. Eudaimonia, Eudaimonia. What does that mean? That's not the question. I just trying to refresh your memory.
What are you talking about? You just made up a word and asked me what it means.
Eudaimonia, you look it up, is the study of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the Greek word for happiness. But a new institute with that name at a southern private university has hardly inspired happiness in the minds of many demonstrators. That's because the Charles Cook Foundation, Charles Cook being one of the 5 most influential libertarians, his foundation has granted $3.7 million to create this school's new Eudaimonia Institute. Which private Southern college is building the Eudaimonia Institute with Charles Cook's money? Is it Duke, Emory, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, or Baylor? This is your chance to avoid a bagel.
Duke, Emory,
Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, or Baylor.
Vanderbilt.
That is your final.
Yes,
and it is your
yes,
final
yes.
point. So break out the cream cheese. We got a bagel. It's Wake Forest.
Oh, well. I can't say that I really care. But,
The final score is 6. A very impressive 6-0.
But I won last week, see? Last week it felt good to win.
And the week before that, I trampled you on my home turf. I think 7-2 was the final score.
Now, how many questions do you have remaining?
I have one. I believe I should have 10. Would you like one as a bonus?
I would like all 10 because I think we need to throw out questions and put 10 questions on paper within 12 hours of recording the next quiz. I say there's a moratorium on holdover old questions.
No, but I have given you fresh questions, and so as proof of that, I'm going to give you a fresh question. Because I gave you my first 5 questions were all from news within the last 3 or 4 days. So I have not done holdovers or leftovers. So I will give you one out of the generosity of my soul.
I have one as well for you.
Okay. I want you to get off the bagel. We heard a lot last week about the announcement that Foxconn will be building a factory in Kenosha, Wisconsin, just up the road an hour and a half or so from American Carnage. Wisconsin won the Taiwanese company's commitment over Illinois. It was a battle of dueling Republican governors, but Wisconsin had Reince and Paul Ryan on its side. However, according to Real Clear Market, the 3,000 manufacturing jobs that will be directly invested and provided by Foxconn, along with the estimated 10,000 in related areas, short-term jobs in construction and all that, will average about $50,000 salary each. However, what each job will cost Wisconsin taxpayers after all the tax benefits and real estate waivers and all the other stuff has been added up will be more than $50,000. So the average job to the Wisconsin taxpayer will cost more than the average salary for those 3,000 jobs. How much on a per-job basis for those 3 manufacturing jobs did Wisconsin commit to get the Foxconn plant? So 3,000 jobs costing that will pay an average of about $50,000 a year. How much did Wisconsin, in tax breaks and incentives factored in to the offer, pay for each one of those jobs? Is it? So in other words, Wisconsin taxpayers are losing money on it.
That's right.
Even with the base stuff. Are they paying between $50,000 and $75,000 for a $50,000 job? $75,000 to $100,000? $100,000 to $125,000? $125,000 to $200,000? Or more than $200,000 per manufacturing job expected to be created by Foxconn?
Is it 75 to 100? This is a hideous situation. My goodness.
This is one of your questions. This is a testimonial to you, giving you one of those economic range questions.
Yes, I understand. It is hideous.
So you can suffer with it.
75 to 100. 75 to 100.
The answer is about $250,000 per job.
Wow.
So the answer is E, more than 200,000. So I've given you 11 questions, fresh meat questions.
All right, now if you don't get these, this is a 2-part question for you. If you don't get both parts, then I get a point. Ready?
Well, who makes these? This is not consistent with the bylaws of continuous quality improvement.
According to a 2014 New York Post report, only 2 presidents have had drinks named after them. Can you name them, by the way?
2 presidents have had
drinks named... Yes.
Oh, I just have to come up with them?
No, I was just wondering if you knew. It's the Coolidge Cooler and the McKinley's Delight. How do you like that?
Calvin Coolidge did not drink. He was a teetotaling Massachusetts Episcopalian.
According to the New York Post, he's one of 2 presidents who had a drink named after him. Which of those? Which is this drink? The Coolidge Cooler or McKinley's Delight? 1.5 ounces of white vodka, a 1/2 ounce of American whiskey, 2 ounces of orange juice, and club soda. Is that the McKinley's Delight or the Coolidge Cooler? Your choice is...
That's a really good question. It's Russian vodka and American whiskey.
White vodka and American whiskey, that's right.
Well, white vodka would go with White Russian, Coolidge was vice president and president just after he was Harding's vice president. So he was vice president while we were still in Russia fighting for the right Russians. So inductive reasoning would suggest that is a Coolidge cooler.
It is a Coolidge cooler. Well done.
But the
yes?
second part of the question, right, in order, by your terms that have not been approved by the Continuous Quality Improvement Division, to get a point that I don't need. But go ahead.
According to the 2014 New York Post article, which president began every day with a shot of bourbon? Ford, LBJ, Truman, or McKinley?
It's not Ford. That's not Gerald Ford. Truman, McKinley, LBJ. I have a sneaking, I don't think it was Truman either. I have a sneaking suspicion it was McKinley. I don't think LBJ did that, although he did like to drink in the White House. At least Bryan Cranston as LBJ drank in the White House. I'm going to go with McKinley, who was a Civil War guy. I think it was McKinley.
In fact, it was Truman, according to the New York Post.
Wow.
Now, I don't have a question for you, but do you know what, according to the same article, what reckless behavior President Ford engaged in on his ranch?
To the cow tipping. He tipped cows and then
he would drunk drive with scotch in a plastic cup beside him on his ranch.
No wonder why Betty went to set up the clinic.
I mean, really. That New York Post, man, you never know. Wow. Well, John, what a treat this has been. I'll tell you,
I don't know. Is there a special prize? So I'm going through my questions, by the way.
No, don't. I don't want any more handouts. I'm good here.
I'm responding to your accusation. I'm looking at the questions I asked you, and in order of them, the first 5 were from the news in the last 4 days. John Hurd was recent news, and the only questions that I gave you, the last 4 that were not from last week's news, I gave you after the results had been determined. So again, if this is a current events quiz, I led off with all the really recent current events, and you got none of them right. So I am going to push back on your accusation and say, no, sir.
What? Your questions are fresh? Okay, fine.
I mean, all the questions about the skinny repeal and then Reince, the first 4, were all from last week, very recent. The question about the Procrastinators United, the Procrastinators Academic Conference, though a bit obscure, was in the New York Times last week.
You know why I stopped? You know why I didn't care about the healthcare debate and I didn't follow? Is because I think it was over a week ago. I remember hearing somewhere that the odds are pretty good it's not going to work. And at that point I was like, well, I don't know how much eyeball time this is going to get out of me then. Odds are it's not going to work, and boom, odds are it didn't work. So the impact of following that drama, well, I don't regret those minutes. Because the totality, John, it's coming. How are you getting prepared for the totality?
Well, we get back from the Grand Canyon and our Arizona trip, less than 18 hours before the totality. So I'm not going to have time to drive down to Carbondale, Illinois to be prime, because that's a good 4.5, 5 hours.
Right.
That's the prime location of last week's quiz revealed for getting the maximum totality time. And besides, you have to have the right glasses because you could be blinded.
That's
now,
right.
I did see a lunar eclipse in Colorado a few years back, and in fact, I was staying at hanging out at a beautiful kind of like a dude ranch resort, and was there viewing the lunar eclipse with someone who had been a White House photographer for both President G.W. Bush and Obama, who allowed us to look at the lunar eclipse, and we were at 8,000 feet, through his special camera lens. So that was memorable, but it was lunar. It was at night, and it was a lunar eclipse.
Right.
So our eyes were not endangered because we had a White House photographer helping us stay away from the light, as they said in Poltergeist.
Wow.
So, as it turns out, some of my old questions, a couple of my old questions, are about things that would have been harbingers of news had I asked them before next week. Now they will be current news because they coincide with things that are getting underway next week. So you can't accuse me of old news. Hopefully, given that I'm leaving town on August 8th for Arizona, we will get another broadcast in. Perhaps I'll even have one at the Grand Canyon. That would be a good place to have a trigger warnings.
It's not a bad idea. Yes, sir. Well, hoo-ha to you, and thanks again for a wonderful quiz.
Will you be sending me my prize?
Yes, your Congressional Investigative Committee.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be sealing that right up and shipping it right off to you.
Yes, I want an investigation of Mitch McConnell's waddle.
Oh, my. Look, maybe some nachos, all right? Some nachos.
I think, because that's what you said, I get my choice of congressional investigation. I think that's where Mitch McConnell is hiding all the campaign cash.
Oh.
Mitch McConnell now is being attacked. There's a special election in Alabama for the Senate seat that was, of course, laid bare by Jeff Sessions. And the guy who was appointed, Luther Strange, who was a former college basketball player, 6'7", Luther Strange is running as the establishment McConnell candidate against two kind of wacky right-wing Republicans, and the two right-wingers are going, extreme right-wingers are going after McConnell as a symbol of the establishment. And Mitch McConnell is dipping into his personal PAC up to $1 million to fend off these two ultra right wingers for the establishment basketball guy to be renominated. So it's actually, I think there needs to be an investigation of Mitch's waddle, because I think that's where he keeps a lot of the $8 million that he's going to spend to preserve the loyalty of people who can't even hold committee hearings. So that's I want a, not of Mitch McConnell, an investigation of his waddle.
I will commission such a thing, and next week I will get you.
There's something in there, and it's not just saggy skins. I'm telling you.
Goodness. All right, let's call it there before it gets any uglier. Thanks for listening, folks. Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. Always a challenge, always a laugh. Right, John?
You always can have fun with Trigger Warnings.
That's right. That's right. All right, folks, we'll catch you next time.